Hello, my name is djack of Jack Fundamentals LLC. I'm a Gallup Certified Strengths Performance Coach, which means that I help people figure out what their specific talents are and then help them turn those talents into strengths. Today I want to talk about a very important topic: conflict. We all have it, we've all experienced it, we may be going through it today. But what I would like to talk about is how to have a conversation about conflict that can give you a return on the investment of time that you're going to spend talking and thinking and feeling conflict. That way, you're not wasting time. If we're having conflict in a work setting, then we are wasting company time. The level of productivity takes a hit. If you're a manager and you've got people on your team that are in conflict, they're wasting time. They are not being as productive as they could be if they were solely focusing on work. If you're having conflict in a personal setting, then you are wasting emotional time, emotional energy on conflict if you're not able to resolve it. So to think that spending time fixing conflict is a waste of time, or spending time taking a time out and bringing somebody in to help with the conflict is a waste of time, that's somewhat of a fallacy. Because time is being spent one way or the other, but being able to get a resolution to that conflict is where that return on investment comes from. So when I say conflict conversation ORI, that's what I talk about. What I'm talking about, I don't want that time to be wasted, whether professionally or personally, and I want to help people make the frustration count. In order to make the frustration count, you've got to be able to click out of bad conflict conversation and click into good conflict conversation. Let me explain a little bit about what I mean. So within the bad conversation, there are two ways that time is spent on conflict: by defining the problem, which is really where a lot of that external venting is covered. So when you have a conflict and you meet with somebody and you're talking to them and you're talking to oftentimes a spouse, a friend, another family member, another coworker, you're not talking to the person that you're in conflict with, but you're defining what they've done to somebody else. He said this. She wasted this amount of time. I sent him this email and he never got back to me. She walked into my office and just started yelling for whatever reason. I don't know why she did it. This person comes in every day, 5, 10, 20 minutes late. Nobody says a thing. Drives me crazy. So you're defining the problem. You're telling somebody why it's a problem. You're explaining in detail the frustration and what's going on within that frustration. So that's defining the problem. Over here, we spend more internal time reliving the problem. Okay? So this is when on our drive home, where we could be thinking about what we're going to be doing with our family, or we're with our family and we're thinking about the conflict that we have with our spouse, and we're not engaging relationally. We're spending time reliving the problem. We're thinking about the way we felt. We're thinking about what they said. We're thinking about what should have been done, a better way to do it. Why nobody listened to you? Why nobody else sees it? And this is just going on over and over and over in your mind, and that is also wasted energy. That time could be spent thinking about a new innovative idea, a new way to keep the policies and the procedures in place, a new way to engage, a new way to spend time with your family members. But instead, you're reliving the conflict. So this is both bad and cyclical. It just keeps going on over and over. If you relive it, you define it, nobody does anything, then you relive that and you define why it wasn't resolved. All of this is wasted time. Okay? So if you're in a work setting, your productivity drops. If you're a manager, they are the people that you're working with, your direct reports. They're not working as effectively as they should, or they're not working at all because they're taking a longer break to relive and to define. If you are having a conflict personally, then you're wasting relational opportunity. Life is short. Time spent reliving and defining a conflict personally means that you're not engaging, you're not bonding, you're not connecting. So what do you do about it? This is the process that I use with those that I am able to coach. Okay? First and foremost, this isn't going anywhere. That's human nature. Embrace it. So we're just going to drop this right down here. We're still going to define the problem. And we're still going to relive it. That's just the way it's going to be. In my experience, fighting this is fruitless and another waste of time. Allow it to take its course. Defining the problem adds clarity to it. It gives you time to put words around it. Without words, we can't really move beyond much of anything. We can't develop within ourselves without language. We can't interact effectively if we don't have language around it. So this defining of the problem, if we're doing this out loud and we're getting feedback, use that feedback. It's still important. It's good to prepare for these conflict conversations. You might need an outside person. You might need a neutral person. Whatever the case may be, defining the problem is still important. Reliving it is still important. But you need to relive it in such a way that you're asking yourself tough questions. Should I be as angry as I am? Should I be as upset as I was? Is this really something that I should be spending time on? If the answer to that question is yes, how can I effectively spend time on it? What is it about this person, about this situation that causes me to get so worked up? What does that say about me, and what can I actually do about it? That's where reliving the problem is still very important and still very productive. What we're going to add to this is developing talent. Okay? So I'm a talent coach. This is a large part of what I do with clients. Developing talent means that you first have to be able to name it. You got to be able to say exactly what your talents are. I use an assessment called the StrengthsFinder. You can find it at gallupstrengthscenter.com. Costs you $15. You get an ebook, and you get your top 5 talents. Anything that you use, whether it's DISC, Predictive Index, Myers-Briggs, whatever you use in your organization, these are talents. They're things that are naturally a part of who we are. We can't really change them. We can develop through them and within them, but they're not really going to go anywhere. And so being able to develop talent is really important. So I get each person that I'm been brought in to coach, get a call and say, hey, these 2 people are in conflict. It's costing us money. It's costing us, time and energy. I really need you to come in and help them work through it. First thing I have them do, take StrengthsFinder, get their top 5, and then individually I help each of them understand what their talents are, what they mean. We talk about past experiences with these talents so that they thoroughly understand, and more importantly, they buy into their talents. I want them to agree with the assessment. And so we talk through that, and we get them very stable and understanding with their talent to where they're comfortable talking about it. They've taken ownership of their top 5, so to speak, or they've taken ownership of their DISC results, whatever the case may be, so that when I show them the person they're in conflict with, I show them their results, they understand that this is how I am and that's how they are. I can see the gap between the two. That makes sense to me. They stop seeing everything that they do as annoying or terrible or just, overall frustrating to a mind-numbing level, and they say, okay, well, they're this way, I'm this way, that's all right, we can work through this. And so developing talent is really, really critical to being able to get people to stop seeing others who they're in conflict with as just horrible and bad and a lost cause. This brings a different perspective of the other person. Then what we're going to do is we're going to begin responding to needs. Each talent in the Gallup StrengthsFinder also comes with a set of needs. People that are high D are going to, in the DISC, they're going to need to have a lot of action. They're going to need to be bold and dominant, and they're going to need to take over things. And so no matter what the case is, no matter what the results are that you use in your organization, there's going to be needs associated with those talents, with those personality traits. For me, for example, my number one talent as far as the StrengthsFinder is concerned is learner. I like new information. I like to try new things. I like new experiences. I like to be on the cutting edge of what's going on in some sort of content area that I have found interesting. And so I need experience. I need the freedom to go explore new things. So responding to that need may mean that I need to go on a couple-day training. That may mean that I need to learn something new. And so responding to that need for me can be internal or external. There are those that have very high relational needs, which means that they need to spend time talking to people. They need to spend time understanding and learning about people, experiencing their personality, being able to put words to experiences and emotions. Other people like to influence people. They want to be able to mobilize and inspire and motivate others. So that's a very strong need for them in very specific ways. Others want to get things done. They don't want to talk. They don't want to influence. They want their task list and they want to nail it day in, day out with no breaks. And so those are very different ways to see the world. And so oftentimes what's going on is you've got two people in conflict that are seeing the world very differently. They have very different needs and they've been left unmet. Relational people aren't being able to have conversations with those that are just purebred taskmasters. Taskmasters don't want to stop and talk. Relational people think that if you were able to talk and able to get to know each other, we're going to get more done. And so they end up in conflict because their focus is different. Being able to define the problem, relive the problem, then develop talent. Now you can relive talent. You can think about this person and relive in your mind the conversations that you've had about their talent. The connections start to happen here. Up here, you're defining the problem, but you're not defining the problem as they're this, they're that. You define the problem as they need this, they need that. So you start to have some strategies show up. You start to have some very specific how-tos show up. And so the defining the problem gets connected to responding to needs because the problem is a need thing. The problem is an unmet need. How do I get that solved? How do I get that need met for me and for them? So this process begins to take shape. And it is somewhat cyclical, but not exactly. Sometimes defining the problem happens and then we're like, oh yeah, let's develop some talent. That's the problem. We don't know what their talents are. But nevertheless, this starts to create a momentum, much like this does. But instead of wasting time, now you are getting your return on investment. Because time is going to be spent either way. It's the most important message I can give to those that are in conflict. You are going to spend time on that conflict. The choice is yours as to whether that time spent is going to give you a return on that investment or not. So that's a little bit about what I do when I am working through conversations about conflict, and I really want to help people make frustration count. It's going to show up. It's just the way it is. But being able to respond to it's going to give you confidence, and it's going to give you something to do other than spending time up here wasting time. So you can start to come down here and get something accomplished. Thank you very much for watching the video. Again, my name is djack, Jack Fundamentals, LLC. If you have any questions, you can email djack@jackfundamentals.com. That's djack@jackfundamentals.com. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.